More troubles for poor Meghan.
My goodness, I can't believe you, Colin.
Now, the Sussexes have copped it from comedian Colin Jost on...
It began with a smirk, a quick, cutting glance Colin Jost threw into the camera on Saturday Night Live before he dropped the line that would ignite an overnight firestorm. With his trademark deadpan delivery, he quipped that as part of Trump's freshly inked UK trade deal, America would be shipping Meghan Markle back across the Atlantic on one condition. She'd have to wipe her entire Instagram from existence, yet again. The live audience erupted, the punchline sharp enough to slice through the studio lights and echo far beyond Rockefeller Center. But hidden beneath the laughter was something more jagged, a reminder that behind all the palaces, podcast contracts, designer dresses, and carefully orchestrated public goodwill, Meghan's past was a puzzle the world still couldn't stop piecing together. As Trump's trade triumph made headlines, the SNL gag spun into a running jab about unwanted exports, who to keep, who to send packing, a cheap laugh on the surface, but one that carried an unmistakable sting. Because at the heart of that joke was a truth the internet never lets die.
Sussexes have copped it from comedian Colin Jost on Saturday Night Live. He's joked that one of the conditions of Trump's new trade deal with the UK...
A reminder that no amount of rebranding, no level of royal status, can fully outrun what came before. It was the kind of line that only works because the audience is already in on it, already aware of the swirling rumors and half-forgotten snapshots that keep creeping back into the daylight no matter how many PR teams try to bury them. And that's when the images came flooding back. Grainy but unmistakable photos that had once circulated in tight corners of gossip forums suddenly reappeared, bouncing from Reddit to TikTok to group chats faster than any statement could contain them. They showed a woman, undeniably familiar, lounging on the sun-drenched deck of a luxury yacht sometime in the early 2010s. No watermark, no credit line, no name plastered in bold. But the hints were all there. A pair of distinctive oversized sunglasses, a pose that seemed almost rehearsed for the lens, and in the background, faces that eagle-eyed onlookers immediately recognized from the fringes of Meghan's early Hollywood circle. It didn't take long for amateur sleuths to fill in the blanks, matching party dates, cross-referencing social check-ins, unearthing grainy shots of the same yacht moored in Monaco or Cannes or Capri. The details weren't explosive on their own, but the implication was enough to fan the flames of suspicion that have long trailed Meghan since she stepped into the House of Windsor's gilded spotlight.
You know, they've realized that the person that they liked in the beginning, except for you, because you saw it immediately, didn't really exist.
If you looked close enough, the glossy fairy tale, struggling actress to modern duchess, started to blur at the edges. And the more people looked, the more they wondered what parts of that fairy tale had been conveniently edited out. What started as an offhand SNL jab quickly mushroomed into something bigger, a collective moment of reckoning where the punchline was no longer just a joke, but a spark reigniting an old conversation. That Meghan Markle's past is not just a footnote she left behind, but a living thread the public is determined to unravel, photo by photo, rumor by rumor, smirk by smirk. People instantly recognized familiar faces from Meghan's early Suits days, other actors, minor TV producers, socialites who orbited the same nightlife circles in Toronto and LA. But what really grabbed people wasn't the who. It was the atmosphere captured in those snapshots. The designer sunglasses that looked more Cannes than cable TV. The crisp white deck chairs. The glint of gold accessories. The never-empty flutes of champagne. Around her, a constellation of sharply dressed men in open-collar shirts, wealthy business figures, influencers who made their money off connections more than paychecks.
Things out, and I think people on a magazine or whatever they're doing, TV, and then decide what's going on to this week, and they think, well, let's pretend that the king's bound to have told.
There was nothing about that scene that screamed hustling up in Comer fighting for a break. Instead, it whispered something more unsettling to critics: access. Access to rooms most actresses fresh off a basic cable legal drama could only dream of. Access to people who made introductions that could open doors no audition could. Access that doesn't fall into your lap. It's cultivated, maintained, and, some suspect, leveraged. For those who have always side-eyed her Cinderella narrative, the yacht photo, and all its surrounding clues, fit too neatly into the bigger theory. that Meghan didn't stumble into the palace gates on a fluke of true love and fairy dust. She mapped the terrain. She knew who to know, where to show up, what connections to foster, and how to turn every handshake into a stepping stone towards something greater. They point out that even during her Suits run, she was photographed at high-end events far above her pay grade, rubbing shoulders with well-connected power players in politics, entertainment, and old-money social circles that would, years later, conveniently align with Harry's own world. That's why this new wave of controversy doesn't sting because of a blurry yacht shot alone. It stings because it pokes a hole in the story people were sold. The idea of Meghan as an underdog outsider who smashed barriers with nothing but grit and heart. Instead, the photo hints at a woman with a plan that critics say might have extended beyond climbing the Hollywood ladder and straight into the realm of royalty itself.
President Trump also announced a new trade deal with the UK. All that Britain demands in return is that we keep these two.
No, I refuse. I'm sick of it.
So when the whispers swirl about Meghan trapping Harry, moving him away from his family, cutting ties, leaving him jobless and rootless in a country not his own, they hit harder because they feel like an extension of the same pattern. Not an impulsive romance, but the final, glittering outcome of years spent weaving the right web. And so the debate keeps growing louder. It's no longer just about one party photo or one rumor. It's about the uncomfortable gap between the perfectly packaged tale of a feminist modern duchess and the hints of a story that looks far more calculated. And once that gap is wide enough for people to peer into, they rarely look away. SNL didn't tiptoe around it either. In that same sketch, Jost doubled down, landing a line that cut closer to the bone than many casual viewers realized. He mocked Meghan as someone who endlessly reinvents her origin story, tweaking the narrative to match whoever she's trying to impress next. The crowd laughed, but for the millions watching at home, the punchline rang uncomfortably true, because that's exactly what critics have been whispering for years. Within hours, the clip was clipped and clipped again, spliced into TikToks and reaction videos, posted to celebrity gossip subreddits, and replayed in slow motion as if it were a piece of forensic evidence. It didn't stop there. The internet's amateur detectives, regular people armed with nothing more than laptops, time, and an obsession with digital breadcrumbs, latched onto the joke like a bloodhound on a scent. Suddenly, old Reddit threads that had gone stale were revived overnight. New Discord servers popped up, buzzing with grainy screenshots, timestamps, and archived pages from now-defunct blogs.
Yeah, they were very worried about their safety, which I get that aspect of things. After 6 episodes, I wanted to attack them.
Meghan Markle has finally revealed why she and Prince Harry call each other M and H.
You could practically feel people's curiosity crystallizing into a shared mission. If Meghan really has been rewriting her past to suit each new chapter, how many chapters has she rewritten, and what got deleted along the way? The signs that something was being scrubbed were impossible to ignore. Old Instagram posts that once proudly showcased charity events, lavish parties, or celebrity brunches were just gone. Fan pages that used to tag Meghan relentlessly went dark without explanation. Former friends, small-time stylists, event planners, minor actors, who once bragged about sharing tables with her now ghosted interview requests or quietly locked their accounts. Some images that people swear they'd saved years ago reappeared looking oddly edited, faces blurred out, whole figures cropped from the frame as if they'd never existed at all. Every vanished photo only fueled the hive mind more. After all, when a celebrity tries to erase a piece of their timeline, the internet treats it like a challenge. Digital sleuths began stitching together clues like detectives working an unsolved crime. Who was at that yacht party? What PR firm handled that event? Why did this person stop posting just as Meghan's royal engagement was announced? Even harmless connections were turned over like rocks in a garden, because the real thrill wasn't proving one scandalous fact, but exposing what looked like a methodical pattern of erasure. Unlike old tabloid frenzies, there were no paparazzi with long lenses selling scoops for paychecks. This time, it was the crowd, anonymous, relentless, and annoyingly thorough. And what they were finding didn't scream random coincidence. It felt deliberate, strategic, coordinated. A digital ghost trail leading back to a truth that, if proven, could shatter the fairy tale Meghan has spent years polishing to perfection.
Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing.
If you came up with the picture of an annoying, insufferable white woman, it would be Meghan Markle, even though she's not.
The silence is deafening. For someone who built her public identity on never backing down from a fight, someone who has taken on the biggest tabloids in court, called out invasive paparazzi and headline-grabbing statements, and even confronted the royal institution itself, Meghan's sudden refusal to say a single word this time feels like a glaring contradiction. There's no carefully worded press release through her PR team, no new Archewell podcast episode subtly addressing the rumors, not even a vague, defiant Instagram story about misinformation or toxic media. Nothing. Just a void where her voice used to be, a void that only makes the whispers echo louder. In the age of non-stop digital noise, when influencers and celebrities clap back at trolls for the smallest rumor, Meghan's total silence doesn't read as poised or dignified. It reads like damage control disguised as class. And the timing couldn't be worse. Just as she's hustling to launch her next big reinvention, a string of high-gloss interviews with friendly outlets, carefully staged photo ops in muted neutral palettes, hints at a new wellness brand that promises organic jams and pastel-colored candles, her old Messier past is clawing its way back into the public's feed like a ghost that refuses to stay buried. It's the worst nightmare for someone who's spent years constructing an image brick by brick. The idea that all the polished empowerment speeches and charity appearances can be undone by a few grainy party photos and a handful of Reddit threads. And yet here it is, playing out in real time, while Meghan says nothing. To her supporters, the silence feels like a betrayal. To her critics, it's confirmation that the rumors must be true, or at least true enough to scare her team into a bunker. If there was really nothing to hide, they argue, why not face it head-on? Why not get ahead of the narrative the way she always has before? Instead, the rebrand she's pushing, a modern woman of style, wellness, and carefully curated authenticity, now looks less like a fresh start and more like an expensive attempt to erase the unflattering parts. Every deleted post, every suspiciously missing friend, every suddenly inactive fan page only makes the contrast sharper. And in an era when audiences crave transparency more than perfection, that silence feels like the loudest lie of all. The longer Meghan says nothing, the more people suspect that behind the gleaming new brand lies a story she can't afford to have retold, one that's now writing itself, detail by stubborn detail, in the dark corners of the internet she can't control.
And he'll say M and you'll say H and your friends say M and it just is a thing.
It's a thing.
And do you both love it?
Yes, and I like nicknames a lot.
What could it be? A mystery for the ages.
One photo in particular keeps surfacing. A yacht deck in the Mediterranean, surrounded by wealthy power players, Meghan, allegedly, center stage. Nothing overtly scandalous is happening in the shot itself. But the people, the timing, the vanishing posts that used to accompany it, all too tidy to dismiss outright. Rumors of NDAs, mysteriously silent ex-friends, and entire digital footprints wiped clean after she got engaged to Harry only pour fuel on the fire. Even diehard supporters find themselves asking if the self-made narrative they believed was just a polished performance all along. Was she a misunderstood actress clawing her way to the top, or a master strategist who knew exactly how to ascend? And then, like a ghost from the darker corners of royal conspiracy boards, the Prince Andrew angle has resurfaced too. Hazy connections, an old party photo, some convenient proximity. It's all circumstantial, but the pattern is unsettling. Once people smell a pattern, they stop caring about hard proof. They start seeing ghosts in every corner of the story. And for someone who built her public image on transparency and authenticity, refusing to address any of it only deepens the cracks. Just as Meghan doubles down on brand building, rolling out lifestyle ventures, feel-good causes, and glossy interviews, the internet is unspooling old threads. What was once her story of resilience is now at risk of being recast as an elaborate masterclass in image-making. Questions multiply. Why were the old photos buried? Why do so many voices from her past now fall silent? Why the silence from Meghan, who never let a tabloid headline slide before? The longer the silence drags on, the louder the narrative writes itself. One built not on a single smoking gun, but on small vanishing details, digital gaps, and awkward absences that feel too orchestrated to dismiss as coincidence. Colin Jost's joke cracked open something bigger than a punchline. It made the secret feel like an open secret. The laughter on SNL wasn't just a laugh. It was recognition. Once the joke lands on primetime TV, it stops being fringe gossip and starts becoming cultural fact. Even mainstream outlets that once tread lightly now circle the same keywords: unanswered questions, mystery deletions, a curated past under threat. Citizen sleuths aren't exposing shocking scandals. They're weaving a web of consistent clues. Yacht itineraries match Instagram check-ins. Guest lists line up with old social circles. Whole websites that once detailed her early days are gone without explanation. And the people who might clarify it all? They vanished too. Former co-stars who once praised Meghan now dodge questions. Stylists and socialites who tagged her endlessly now act like they barely knew her. Some are rumored to be bound by non-disclosure agreements. Some simply won't talk. And when people go that quiet, it usually means there's something worth protecting. Behind the scenes, whispers of frantic damage control swirl, SEO teams burying old articles, friendly outlets planting positive spin, social platforms quietly asked to take down tags and blur faces. But in 2025, that's like trying to mop up an oil spill with a napkin. Every attempt to erase just fuels the suspicion that there's something that needs erasing. And that's the real danger. Once people suspect there's a mask, they start questioning everything behind it. The speeches, the charity work, the underdog story. They all get filtered through the same lens. Was it genuine or just expertly staged? If Meghan had come out and owned it, admitted she'd navigated elite circles, acknowledged her reinventions, maybe people would have respected that candor. But the silence feels manipulative, not dignified. It feeds the sense that this isn't a temporary scandal, but a slow unraveling. One photo, one deleted post, one non-answer at a time. Meghan Markle was never supposed to be this story. She was supposed to be the symbol of change, an outsider who broke barriers and redefined what royalty could look like. Now she risks becoming the cautionary tale of what happens when your brand hinges on authenticity, but your past and your silence start telling a different truth. And in the relentless court of public opinion, that's the one betrayal no one forgives.